Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So as we're going through this pandemic, we're trying to share some inspiration of hope using the Bhagavad Gita and using Arjuna's situation to see that nature has a certain way of doing things, and if we're not aligned with that philosophically, then it's difficult to accept. So on one hand, we want to send out comfort and solace and warmth to everyone that's experiencing a difficult moment right now. Maybe you've lost a loved one, maybe you've lost a colleague, maybe you've lost a relative due to the pandemic, and you're finding it difficult to cope with that situation. Please remember, I'm here for you. I'm here to help if I can. I've even given my contact details so you can personally write to me. And on a continuous basis, you can also get inspiration from what we're saying from the words of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita, as this is going to be the real strength that we build on. It's definitely very difficult right now to deal with the emotional strain of losing a loved one. But as we're learning and as we're hearing Krishna's words of wisdom to Arjuna, he's empathizing with Arjuna, but at the same time he's saying, Arjun, that I feel your pain right now and I can see it is a difficult moment for you. But what I would like to share with you is wisdom, something that can help you move through this difficult time right now. And that's why we're taking shelter of Bhagavad Gita. But surely something that Krishna is saying, something that Prabhupada is saying is going to move your heart and give you comfort in this difficult time. So we're moving on to verse number 18 today. And it's also a continuation of this beautiful momentum that Krishna is now explaining to Arjuna about Sat and Asat, what is truth and what is untruth. So yesterday he spoke about Sat, about the indestructible soul. So today he's going to speak a little bit about the body, that which is Asat. So let's catch this verse. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 18. Antavanta ime deha Nityas yukta saririnaha anna sino prameyasya tasmat yudya svabharataha. Translation: the material body of the indestructible. So yesterday Krishna was speaking about the indestructible. Avinasi tu tad vidhi yena sarvam idam tatam. That this Avinasi within the body is that entity, that person which is indestructible. So that was stemming from verse 16, where Krishna is saying, Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satam, ubayorapi drishtantuas tvanayas tattvadarshibhi. That one who is tattvadarshi, he studies both. So yesterday's class we studied the soul. So today now Krishna is teaching the body. So yesterday he spoke about Sat, or the indestructible, eternal. So today he's going to speak about the body, Asat. So showing that this is the progression that we're moving in. So the translation goes on, immeasurable. Now this is very interesting because yesterday Krishna just told us the measurement of the soul. Remember, from the Svetasvara Upanishad, it was 110,000, 5.9 Svetasvara Upanishad. It was 110,000, the tip of the hair. And now Krishna is saying in today's verse, immeasurable. So how do we understand this? Because if you're giving it as 110,000, the tip of the hair, that is a measurement. It may be an atomic measurement, but it's a measurement. And now today's Krishna is saying immeasurable. So is it a contradiction? No. Krishna is explaining something here. Krishna is actually giving us a point of reference, that how small is this soul? Because you remember, he says the tip of the hair, the point of the hair. If my finger is the hair follicle, then if it's cut sideways, which is the tip? Is the whole thing the tip? Or is the cut on the point, is that the tip? So which is the tip? So the point is, it's giving us a point of reference. Otherwise, we won't have anything to measure this soul by. It's trying to tell us it is really, really, really small. It is so small that it's 1/10,000 the tip of the hair. It's very small. Yet from the power that it emanates, which is consciousness, the entire body, even of an elephant or of a big whale, can be animated. So look at the power of the soul. So it's giving us a point of reference so that we can conceive it. Remember, we're dealing with consciousness now. It's a study of consciousness. And we're dealing with the spiritual dimension. So if it's the spiritual dimension, how do you use material measurements there? You can't. So just to give us a point of reference, then it says, okay, in your measurements to collaborate this, it's about 1/10,000 the tip of the hair. So it's telling us it's really, really small. So let's see what he says. Immeasurable and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. So Krishna is emphasizing on the body now, because that's where Arjuna's consciousness is. It's on the body. So he says, Arjuna, you focusing your consciousness on this bodily aspect, but do you really understand that this is not permanent? That it's constantly changing at every moment? Have you conceived of this? Because yesterday Prabhupada was telling us repeatedly in the purports that what you were attached to is the consciousness of the person. You never was attached to the person. The person you actually didn't even know. What you was attached to is the consciousness. When the consciousness animated the body, then you related to that feature. Did you really know the soul? Did you really know your loved one, your relative, your friend, your mother, your father? Did you really know them? Or did you know them through the personality they acquired from being in this world? Who did you know? You got to know two things. You got to know them as a personality which they acquired from this world, and you got to know them as the consciousness the soul was emanating to the body, which is also an external feature. So both of these are not permanent. You never actually got to meet the person. You never got to meet that loved one or that soul. You only related to two of their features, which is external. Their mind and personality, which is acquired from the world, and their body, which is acquired from the world. So now from that, how do you expect to have a permanent situation? That understanding is incomplete, Arjun. So he's teaching Arjuna. Let's see what he says further. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. Therefore he's telling Arjuna, Arjun, you are not fighting because you're thinking this is the person. This is not the person. You're relating to the consciousness which is emanating from the body, and you're relating to the personality which was acquired from the external world. So two of these features are not the person. So if you're lamenting, then you're lamenting for that which is not worthy of grief. Because both of these are external features of the person, the soul, and you've never met the soul. Therefore he's telling him, oh scion of Bharata. Again, he's using his hereditary. He's using the hereditary tradition that is coming, that great kings have understood this. Arjun, you're not an ordinary layman. You are connected to this great knowledge. And for us, we are connected to Srila Prabhupada. We are initiated within his movement, ISKCON. So this knowledge is so-called second nature to us. But knowledge doesn't work on its own. It has to be imbibed. It has to be applied to one's life to become vijnanam, realized. So just knowing this information is one thing. Transforming it into life, into the process of life, is another thing. So you coming in this great line and you haven't done that transformation yet, Arjun. You see, Krishna is a little strong, isn't he? He's a little strong there, but he's telling Arjun, everything is given to you here. The information, the knowledge, now you didn't apply it, and you're lamenting and you're arguing with me as if you know better. So Krishna is really being the guru, the teacher here. So he's sharing with Arjuna the most vital teaching of the body. Every moment the body is changing. So if you want to understand the body, you have to understand time. And how long is one moment? How long is one moment? One moment is the smallest measurement of time one can get. That is one moment. So how do you measure that? So if you understand that, then you'll realize there's no pause button for the body. This body doesn't have a pause button where you can press pause and it will stop. Every moment, the smallest measurement of time, it is changing. Millions and millions of cells are changing. Millions and millions of transactions are happening within the body. Remember we were discussing this? 400 billion bits of information is coming into the brain, and we can only process 2,000.
The brain processes 400 billion bits of information a second, but we're only aware of 2,000 of those.
Did you hear that? I'm going to rewind it and we're going to hear it again.
The brain processes 400 billion bits of information a second, but we're only aware of 2,000 of those.
That means all the rest of that reality, what is happening out there? What is happening in here? We haven't developed a database of information to assess that knowledge. So therefore Krishna is telling Arjuna, every moment the body is changing. This man, right from childhood, his body is constantly changing. But if you keep looking into his eyes, you don't see the change so drastic. But this is how it is with us. Step by step by step, the body is changing and changing and changing and changing. We don't realize it because we're not so observant. And this Krishna told Arjuna very early on, that you're lamenting that death is not the problem, Arjun. Your problem is you have not noticed the body as it was changing every moment. Therefore now, when the body has stopped changing, when death has come, then it has shocked you. So have you observed, Arjun? So this is the big teaching Krishna is giving Arjuna here. We see this other example of twins, identical twins, interchanging and playing a prank on a friend.
Why are you talking to my twin sister?
Oh my God!
Got you!
Wow! Hold up! I'm lost, man.
What freaking twin thing?
Oh my
Nice
God!
to meet you.
Wow!
So this is my twin
Okay.
sister.
They got me good. Alright, so hold on. Alright, which one's back here?
I'm Rebecca. That's Rachel.
Wow! Like, oh my God, you got me good, man. They got me, y'all. They got me. They're good.
Got you.
They're very good. They got me. They're good.
So one twin meets the friend and then goes away and comes back as the other twin. And it so happened to be this twin's boyfriend. Which becomes a big problem, right? But it shows we're not observant enough. We're not observing. We just look, but we don't see. We just hear, but we don't listen. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, Arjun, be observant here. You wasn't observant and now you're lamenting? So let's see what Prabhupada puts in the purport. The material body is perishable by nature. So he's telling Arjuna, have you understood this principle of nature, that it's perishable? Because what you're asking me to do is to reverse nature. This is not possible. You work with nature. You can't ask nature to reverse itself. So what you actually want is a time machine. You want to go back to 2019 so that you can skip 2020. Life doesn't work that way. We got to learn the teachings of how to face life. This is what Bhagavad Gita is. Prabhupada was saying in the last part of the purport the other day, that this is teachings for all time. That Krishna is giving this teaching for all time. So this is meant for every situation and anywhere at any time. So indirectly Krishna is saying, Arjun, you have not developed the consciousness of the Dhira. What is the Dhira? One who studies the soul, one who studies the super soul, one who studies nature, one who studies matter and spirit. So have you studied nature? You haven't studied nature. And because you haven't studied nature, you haven't understood how the process of life unfolds. So let's see what Prabhupada says here. It may perish immediately, or it may do so after 100 years. So in our current situation, it has perished immediately. We have friends and loved ones, so close people, that were here yesterday and today we're getting the funeral message. How many of you have been through that? It's so difficult, isn't it? So we didn't expect that life will happen so quick, because we measured life on our time scale. Life has a different time scale. It has different ways in which it is acting. The mechanism of nature is working under time, and that is working under Krishna directly. So we didn't expect it. In our assessment of life, one funeral happens every now and again. Now we're getting 3, 4, 5 messages a day telling us that people are sick, that people are going to pass away. We're not ready for this kind of thing. But does life wait for us? It doesn't wait for us. So what do? Do we just fall back and get into an emotional trap about life, that we've lost our job, we've lost a loved one, we've lost stability? Do we just go back into an emotional loop like the broken record? Or do we look at it and assess it for what it is and not bigger than what it is? And now, from that positive paradigm, we start to make amends, do things that can change it, do things that can make it work out. So Prabhupada goes on, it is a question of time only. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, have you studied time, Arjuna? You haven't studied nature, means you haven't studied time. These both are interrelated, they're symbiotic, they work together. Isya Vasaidam Sarvam. The Supreme Lord is controlling all of this. He's the proprietor and he's doing it through the time factor. Have you learnt this, Arjun? He's really questioning Arjuna's understanding about life here. And why this is so? Because Arjuna has built all his stabilities in life on an unstable platform. Just like we see here, sand castles at the beach. So we build these castles, we build these beautiful empires. We can build a whole palace out of sand, right? A whole palace. But the wise person looking at you building all of this is saying, hey, are you aware that it's only a matter of time before the tide comes in? And when the tide comes in, it's going to knock all these things down. And you keep on building and thinking, no, it's okay. See the sand here, it's strong. See here, it's strong, it's holding up. Look at my beautiful empire. And then next thing the wave comes, boof, and just knocks everything down in one moment. Something that took you 20 years, 30 years, 50 years to build, the wave comes and knocks it over in one moment. So why is that so? Because we haven't assessed the foundation. We built all our understanding, all our realization about life, everything was built on the material platform. Now Krishna is saying, be Dhira Arjun, build it on the spiritual platform.